Welcome back to Here with Goldberg. Today I wanted to address a very common retort that I tend to receive if I happen to manufacture a video sympathetic towards incels or black pill ideas. Invariably you'll have one or more of these pompous jackasses who will wade into the comment section carrying the law down from the mountain, all these truths and realities that no one else has bothered to conceive of or imagine. And they'll go, yeah, but what about that celebrity? You incels are pathetic. You just need to work on yourselves. One guy said, all these dudes just have low self-esteem. And I was thinking, imagine if you were short or you were less attractive, and throughout middle school, high school, maybe even college, you're seeing other dudes who are better looking and taller, getting women, getting laid, and you're not. And you're getting constantly rejected, even if you have confidence, even if you maybe work out. Would that not have something to do with your sense of self-esteem, self-worth? Maybe just, I'm sorry, I guess, as long as you just self-improve, it doesn't matter. It's about mindset. It's about the gorilla mindset, also known as the beta provider mindset. But in any case, let's go through some of these examples and break them down so that we can help these folks understand that they're not presenting a brilliant idea. They're really just simping for Fantasyland, okay? So here they go. What about Kevin Hart? He's 5'4", hasn't stopped him. And you say, that's right, Kevin Hart, he's a world-renowned actor and comedian in a lot of blockbuster films. And he's also worth $200 million. I suppose that doesn't actually matter for anything, though. It's just about, he's such a nice young man who's short and he's got a big heart and a wonderful personality. That's how we're supposed to take it, all right? Good for Kevin Hart, But it's kind of like if you look at Eddie Murphy, in all fairness, if he wasn't famous, he's got like a gap in his teeth, he's got a goofy face, he wouldn't be dating a pretty attractive supermodel, although some people say that she's, under transvestigation. I don't know about that. My point being that status and money matters, but that does not turn back or eradicate the fact that on an everyday basis, dudes experience these problems if they're short or they're less attractive, okay? Let's just be very real. Now the next section, to be clear, no hate intended. We're just doing observation here. If these folks had loving relationships that were 100% true and true, good for them, wish them well. We're simply putting into words what a lot of you are thinking, but you're too cowardly, so you just sit there virtue signaling and pretending that it's all good. Because these are discussions that are worth having. This guy is another example of someone who's put out there as a way to contradict black pill ideas. Sean Stevenson, he had this brittle bone disease which caused him to not develop fully, and so he ended up being 3 feet tall. He was, of course, a pretty successful author. You can't see the reviews here, but it's like 179 of his book. He actually had 2 total that he published. He happened to be also making with speeches like 15 to 30 grand a speech. But that's not actually relevant, just the fact that he managed to get married. And you've got this article here, The Crazy Sex Life of a Woman and Her 2'8" Man. So I'm just going to cycle through the pics here. So maybe I'm just jaded, but looking at these pictures, she does not appear to be a very happy camper. He seems to be gushing. He really, wants to be there. It could just be the angle. Maybe they had a great relationship. But in any case, the fact that he was successful, he had money, he had some degree of fame, probably didn't hurt him. And trying to claim like, oh, it doesn't matter because he just happens to have a condition and, he's still going to be able to game like anyone else. Again, it's ignorance. It's you living in a fantasy world because it feels good, because you can just kind of arrogantly dismiss the concerns of people who are actually experiencing such things on a daily basis. Now we have this example, and you've probably heard of them. They're a little bit more famous nowadays. This is Squirmy and Grubs.
Today is a very exciting day. Big day, big day, big day, big day, big day. I'm so excited.
All right, so this girl is pretty cute. All right, now I want to make my disclaimer for all the MGTOWs. We know that the MGTOWs, they wouldn't find her attractive because all the MGTOWs are, banging 10 out of 10 bikini cheerleaders, and no women can measure up to them. As you have to understand, once you go MGTOW and you take the suppository rage pill, women are just not up to your standards. Even if they're like in decent shape, they're okay looking, they're not good enough for you. The MGTOWs, again, they're getting the best women, and that's why, again, this is not an attractive woman for a MGTOW. So there's different explanations for this. Some folks say, well, it was like a therapist or nurse scenario, fell in love with a patient, kind of like Harley Quinn. Other folks say, oh, he's got a lot of money. Still more might go, it was sort of a celebrity crush thing. Like maybe she was a fan and followed him, and then they got together. And men can do that too. I think it was the guy with Jodie Foster. Although, I don't think Jodie Foster was in her wheelchair. Nonetheless, people are going to ask questions, and just because you find it, you don't like it, it's not palatable, doesn't change. Because if you bring up the fact that, well, maybe he's got money, what do you think that someone's going to retort with? You can't say that, that's offensive. But maybe it's true, or maybe it's a valid question, right? Kind of like when I was talking about Roosh V, is he like a legitimate Christian? A lot of Christians got upset and said, you don't know what his real heart is like. It's like, yeah, that's true, but if someone does a huge 180, people are going to say, is it sincere, or is it about money? Is it a midlife crisis? Legitimate queries, I think, personally. But at any rate, he also has 2 best-selling books. I don't know if he's also being paid for speeches, but this is even more than the other guy, 300 views apiece. So probably has an okay amount of income. Not necessarily a millionaire, but you never know. And naturally, you have skepticism. This guy here, this is really fascinating. He says, they label the haters lonely a-holes with bad attitudes. Women want to maintain the image that aren't superficial. Their support is mostly from women. They delete all negativity. Anyone who questioned them. In the real world, this would not happen for this particular guy, and I'll give you plenty of reasons why. She's the 3rd pretty girl he's supposedly dated in a row. For context, I've been in a chair for 8 years. I've dated before and after my accident. The dating scene is definitely affected by being in a chair. People who say otherwise are BSing. You're definitely not going to get more traffic in a chair, not from normal, sensible women. And that's really, it's great to hear that from someone who actually has a disability, because there was some dude on a red pill stream claiming this guy who's disabled from like the neck down is rolling in women. Like, are you serious? What's the situation behind that? Are they paying for it? Is it being done for a show? There's so much manipulation that goes on, and it's really sad. And then this guy, I'll have to really highlight, it's another video they did. I think in this case it was on their happiness and sacrifice. Well, this guy does LMAOOOO. Those dudes just salty that this king has such a queen. Big Toucan Sam says, I think this is an anomaly. I've been in the dating game for a while now, and men who are just as nice or nicer than he is, better looking, not disabled, get treated like complete crap by women. I would not be surprised if he's set to inherit a large amount of money or something of that nature. And Orson Schweigers goes, wow, people don't believe in love anymore, huh? Yeah, keep taking your blue pills, my friend. But Big Toucan Sam's correct. If this woman, she could have dated a shorter guy who has a normal functioning body. She could have dated a decent looking guy, but she's choosing the guy in the wheelchair. Now, you could say it's genuine love, whatever. I'm not saying it's impossible. But of course, people are going to be skeptical of that. Why would a pretty attractive blonde chick, who's functioning normally, want to date a guy who's in a wheelchair? And not just in a wheelchair. We're not talking about like a Madison Cawthorn, Chad Light in a wheelchair. We're talking about a dude who's got a very specific condition. There was a documentary I brought up last year where the guy had the same condition as Sean Stevenson, or very similar to it, and he was married and he had a kid, but it was with a woman with a less severe form of dwarfism. It wasn't with an attractive chick. So, I mean, the reason I bring this up because you think you're being clever with these sorts of retorts, but you really don't know what the hell you're talking about. Another person brought up that they had made some mention of wanting their kid to have the same condition that he did. Again, I don't know if that's true or that's just misinterpretation. Point is, there seems to be a lot of propaganda put out to make dudes think you can still live in the dream world. I don't know if you remember the silver chair, the old one they made, where they go underground and the snake queen, she's telling them, oh no, that world above doesn't exist. This is the only reality you know. There's no sunlight. It's kind of the same way. Guys are looking at their everyday experience, like Big Toucan Sam noted, and they're saying that's not how it works. And then all these projects, these TV shows, 90 Day Fiancé, whatever, are all kind of pushed to make you believe, no, you have to still get plugged into the machine. You have to stop questioning. As long as you're a good guy and you take your soap bath and you listen to, life coaches, you're going to improve and you're going to end up with the girl you want. And maybe it's going to happen or it may not. And so it's selling false hopes so these people keep everyone down and keep you sort of content where you have to be instead of recognizing, no, there's something wrong with this system and we should be talking about it because maybe we can save people's lives that way instead of simply mocking them when they end up just, tragic and feeling like they have no purpose. So that's my point. If you think you're contradicting these guys' experiences just by essentially belittling them and claiming they need to self-improve or trying to cite these celebrities without actually considering that they're celebrities with a lot of money and clout, you're being delusional. You're a fool, and you need to just have a little bit of humility, sit down, and pay attention to them and stop just trying to write them off because it feels better to just, reinsert that thing in your behind and say, everything's going well.